just in case everybody's wondering, the headline stack in my old former business. We check it every day. We get to see what other people are talking about, to crowdsource to see what we should be talking about. The top story item right now on the news stack there is how the NFL might utilize new technology to spot the football during preseason games, no longer with a chain gang. It gives you an idea on that one, right? Okay. So we're waiting for football to be played.
Yeah, right.
And in the meantime, while we're waiting football to be played in 2024, preseason exhibition, what do you want to call it, or not, we're still looking back. We're still searching for answers on the top stories of the National Football League ever since Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs dispatched with the 49ers in overtime in Las Vegas, Nevada on that February Sunday. We're still waiting. And one of the top stories that we've been searching for answers on, and we want answers. We demand answers. We want the truth. We can't handle the truth, so on and so forth. One of the biggest stories was the Atlanta Falcons drafting Michael Penix, 8th overall in a draft, despite signing the biggest fish in free agency, Kirk Cousins, to a monumental contract that doesn't look so monumental now that Jordan Love and Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff have gotten their contracts. But at the time in free agency, this was a big move because not only was it the end of the Vikings' tenure of having Kirk Cousins there, but it now was the end of the Falcons' tenure of searching for somebody to play that position expertly with a neck-up veteran presence and calming the waters of a franchise that had been looking for the next Matt Ryan since Matt Ryan had left. Which is what the Falcons keep telling you why they drafted Michael Penix Jr. And that's why it didn't make sense to me and a lot of others at the draft. Well, we had yet to hear from the top of the flow chart, Arthur Blank, who had a press conference after we went off the air yesterday in Atlanta. A lot of membership, those who own franchises, speak with the media when it's time for training camps to open up and start flowing. He had this to say about the decision that left everybody head scratching, and it is still obviously a very important conversation to be had, and we'll explain why in a moment.
Thank heavens we don't always listen to the league, and thank heavens we don't always listen to the media, and thank heavens we don't always do what everybody else thinks we should be doing. We're actually very independent thinkers, and the decision about Penix in this case at number 8, I'll go back a little bit and say that we had made it clear to Kirk and others that we probably were going to draft a quarterback during this draft. As it turned out, that Michael Penix, for our coaching staff and our personnel department, graded extraordinarily high. They viewed him as a tremendous player, and that we've been through a situation post Matt Ryan when we're seeing that movie when we didn't have a franchise quarterback, and we didn't want to repeat that again. I mean, I certainly didn't, and I'm super sensitive to all forms of succession planning. After 60-odd years of business, in any business that's critical, and at the key position, the quarterback position in the NFL, that's very important. So just listening to our coaching staff and our personnel department, they really made a decision. Michael was going to be available at number 8. They saw an extraordinary talent. Our Kirk Cousins is our franchise quarterback, is our starting quarterback, and he seems to be doing great from a medical standpoint. His attitude, his leadership, culturally, personally, with our players, with the coaching staff, has been nothing short of outstanding. So we couldn't be happier with that situation. But I know age does kind of creep up. I can speak to myself personally on that a little bit. I know what that means, and Kirk will be 36 at the start of the season, and so we hope and pray he's got 3 to 4 great years in front of him. Maybe beyond that, who knows? But we also know that, at some point there will be a point that we'll need a transition. We want to make sure we do that smoothly.
I mean, that's why I wanted to play that entire soundbite, because there's no way to cut it up, and that was as carefully thought out and laid out position that we've heard, certainly from the guy whose Bucks stop right there in Atlanta on the subject matter. And it still stands to reason why it makes no sense, because if you put up their schedule, how Michael Penix Jr.'s presence on this team, 8th overall, will help matters when Kirk Cousins goes out on the field to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in one of the more highly anticipated games that nobody's really talking about for week 1 because of all the other marquee games. How will it help on the Monday night at Philadelphia, where Kirk Cousins, as we all know, has had bad nights on Monday nights early on in seasons? Vikings fans will tell you that, and then so on and so forth. Certainly when the first Sunday night game that they play is week 3, home for the Chiefs, which will be a wild affair, one would think, with the Chiefs. That's their first road game of the year, coming off of home dates with the Ravens and the Bengals. Who knows what their record's going to be going into that game? So on and so forth and so on and so forth. And it is a testament to Arthur Blank's planning to say, yeah, instead of getting us a stud pass rusher potentially, or Rome Odunze was sitting out there to potentially give Kirk Cousins a dynamite young new target to go along with Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson. And that would be quite something to send into those first 3 games and everything else for Kirk Cousins to make him succeed as your franchise quarterback. That's just a for instance. But instead, they chose to take the long road. And that will be part of the season-long storyline arc for the Atlanta Falcons. And unfortunately, or they don't, I don't think they care very much, as you heard Arthur Blank talk about independent thinkers. And I am definitely part of the members of the media who were head-scratching critical from jump when I heard the name on live NFL Network television that night, the next night, the night after that, appearing on this show the Friday after hearing that name into a microphone in Detroit, and to this present day, wondering what's up with that, because Cousins has no capital in Atlanta, and if he struggles in his first 3-4 games, it will be incumbent upon Raheem Morris to hold all the fans at the verbal gate there, who might be like, what's up with Kirk Cousins? In the same way that other quarterbacks who have been at the controls of the franchise, when they struggle, have a certain sense already built up with the fan base to not have them call for the backup right away in other places. And that will be part of the season-long storyline arc. And unfortunately, if they do consider it unfortunate in Atlanta, we in the media can fill the blank of who they could have taken, with a whole host of names at any time we choose to fill it with that. Certainly if they need, if they needed a better pass rush in a game that they lose, well, Dallas Turner would have worked there. If they needed more offense, well, Rome Odunze would have worked there. Could have had Brock Bowers there in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So we could fill that blank.
Oh, yeah.
Not to use the word blank with Arthur, but you know what I'm saying? We could go ahead and do that. And that might be low-hanging fruit. They would push back. And I guess here's the pushback, ripped straight from the headlines. The name Jordan Love. Because we were saying the same thing about the Packers. Why would they do that to Aaron Rodgers? Why would they antagonize their guy? Now, it's different for us to say that apples to apples, because as I mentioned, again, Kirk Cousins is right there. And had Aaron, anytime during the Aaron Rodgers era in Green Bay, if he had a bad game, they would be like, that's Aaron Rodgers. Okay. We're going to name a street after him around here anyway at some point. That won't be the case for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta if he struggles. My point there. But their point is, look at Jordan Love. He got drafted. He sat around. Rodgers gave the Packers 2 MVP seasons and then a third season. And how do you like them now? They're set up. Their succession plan is set up.
I like it.
And that's what the Falcons were saying. And that's what Arthur Blank is saying right now. They're set up. Look at the Packers right now. They are set up, and they have paid their kid, and he is set up. And the difference there is that Michael Penix Jr. right now is 24. Jordan Love, after waiting those 3 seasons, then playing a 4th to prove that he is worth the $200+ million contract that they are bestowing upon him and thus are now set up. Jordan Love is 25 right now. So if Penix does go through the Jordan Love program and the Falcons go through the Aaron Rodgers program of getting MVP type seasons, if not hopefully for them and Cousins, an actual MVP seasons back to back, and then Cousins plays a third, and hopefully for Atlanta, they get better results trophy-wise than what the Packers did while they were waiting for Rodgers to finish things up. Penix will be 28, 29 years old. That's a different story than what's going on in Green Bay right now. But it's a fascinating talk still, I think. I really think it is. And maybe, just maybe, Penix gets in there. We were talking about him being the most pro-ready quarterback right there with Jaden Daniels coming out of this year's draft class. Maybe, just maybe, if Cousins does get hurt, you don't go to Taylor Heineke. You go to the kid. You know, and then all of a sudden, there's youthful energy in the city of Atlanta and Georgia, ripping something else straight from headlines outside of the world of sports over the last 24 hours. Maybe you're getting everybody hyped up there. And then you got a true first-class problem to have, and the succession starts sooner. And that'll be laid at the feet of Raheem Morris. Certainly for a team in Atlanta, they are talented. They are deep, both sides of the football, young and veteran, right? They are situated with a dynamic young coach that a lot of people wanted, and a lot of players swear by who have played on the side of the football or in the same locker room as Raheem Morris. So, Atlanta Falcons set up or not, or they're set up long-term and short-term. Man, I can't wait to see how it plays out. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.